Well, the parties are working hard to get out the vote in 10 days, that there's some high-pressure techniques with money or incentives to get people to the polls. Elon Musk's Political Action Committee is giving away $1 million to anyone in a swing state that signs his petition supporting free speech and gun rights. There's also an association that helps people get low-cost mortgage, and it's telling its members they must vote. They don't say how, but they must vote or it would have financial consequences for them. Lisa, is this kind of stuff legal?
You know, the Department of Justice doesn't even seem to know if it's legal. It sent Musk a letter this week that said it might be illegal.
They have to investigate, right?
I guess, although don't they know the facts that you just laid them out? The statute is quite simple. Hasn't been interpreted a lot because, again, like everything else in this election cycle or in the last 10 years even, we've got, unprecedented things happening that certainly haven't been litigated on a significant scale. Anyway, so yeah, the theory is that he's paying people, it's illegal to pay people to register or to vote. And I will say that I think that if Musk's scheme is illegal, so is the one that you spoke about, the association that it helps people get low-cost mortgages and says that they're not going to kick you out of their membership this time, but they are watching to see if you vote. Well, I don't know. So, but anyway, I think bottom line, though, does it really matter? Musk hasn't turned back. He's continued to award the $1 million a day.
He took a day off.
He took a day off, but then I understand he gave $2 million prizes yesterday, so it hasn't stopped. The penalties for violation of this statute are quite, certainly in Elon Musk's world, trivial. The DOJ is not going to take any, they're not going to start, even if they do decide to prosecute him, which they well may not, because the federal prosecutors don't prosecute unless they've got a sure win. I mean, that's the general philosophy. They care a lot about their success rate. And it's not entirely clear, because the technicality, he says, is that to the extent he's paying people to sign a petition.
Not to vote.
Not to vote, not to register. True, they have to be registered in order to be eligible.
Yeah, and this is, I mean, obviously he's right on the line.
Yeah.
And if it was directly paying new people to register, like you haven't been registered before, and he specified that, it'd be a lot more clear cut. So this component, the argument is, now he shifted it to a job position that you're getting paid to be registered. And the argument there is, what if you set up for your business that, hey, one of the requirements of hiring somebody is that they're registered to vote, because it would lend credibility to their reliability. And that's an argument that would be made, I think, in this case.
Interesting. Michael, how are you seeing this?
Well, when I think about buying votes, I mean, there was a time when mainstream political figures would show up in black communities every 2 or 4 years, right, with fried chicken, collard greens, buttered biscuits, and grape Kool-Aid to buy votes, right? It was insulting at the time, but effective in some quarters. But it makes me think about the Bipartisan Campaign Reform Act, later to be called McCain-Feingold, 2001-2002, which included some provisions designed to end the use of soft money in federal elections, which was killed by the Citizens United in 2010 Supreme Court. Now we have the South African billionaire on the stage at a campaign rally with a candidate he endorses, jumping around like he's on a playground, because in his mind, the electoral process in America is a playground for the wealthy and political influencers run amok. So I guess we have to see what the Department of Justice does at some point to stop some of this madness, I would presume.
Aaron, I wonder if this is really different than years back with the bringing the food out or the party bosses.
Oh, I think it is. I think that Republicans have tapped into this idea that politics is memified. Musk understands that. He understands that he will get media attention for doing this. He doesn't really care if it might or might not be illegal. He understands that Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, is going to be in the headlines for saying we should investigate Elon Musk, and seem like a kind of whiny tattletale kid in doing so, rather than saying Kamala Harris will help fix crumbling infrastructure around the country, right? He understands that, and that's why he's doing this, because it keeps the Democrats on the defensive in a reactionary standpoint, and people understand things like big checks, right? And so, it seems like if you're complaining about this, oh, it might be illegal and it's against the rules, Americans will interpret that as, well, that's kind of whiny, and this guy's just out there doing awesome stuff. I think it's actually politically brilliant because it taps into where our politics are right now in this meme-ified world.
Well, and it's also brilliant because signing on to something, you're committing yourself psychologically. So having people just sign that petition alone is brilliant. And then if you're incentivized to do something, you feel obligated to return that in some way psychologically. So he is preying upon two psychological facets.
I wondered, Lisa, if Musk thought it might not be legal, but he's just doing it for attention, or as Aaron's saying, the agenda setting.
You know, as I said, the man has $265 billion last I looked. It doesn't make any difference to him. And
The fines are like $10,000.
Yeah,
right?
and I agree with Aaron that it does. It puts the Democrats on the defensive. Instead of leading, they're being led around once again. This time, following him.
And I think the fine is for the person that receives it.
They both.
It's actually
it's illegal to pay or receive.
correct, but I think the $10,000 fine is for the person that receives it, or up to like 5 years.
5 years
prison,
in
but
jail.
Which no, that would never happen.
Lisa, do you see this different than the old time? I mean, I can remember in my hometown, little hometown of 4,000, the party leaders and the wealthy guys in town would rent or borrow an apartment across the street from where everybody voted, and they'd tap off who voted, right? And then if you didn't vote by 4 o'clock, you'd get a call, which was coercive, right? I mean, is this any different?
Yeah, I mean, it's different because it involves money. That was encouragement and persuasion. This is buying. I mean, that's the argument. Again, I agree that it's on the line.